Hello, everyone. I want to thank the Academy for inviting me to this year's Lalka Nova conference about connection. I wish I could be there in person with you all, but it's actually a big American holiday at the same time, and I haven't seen my family for over 7.5 months since I've been here in Europe performing and traveling. So today we're going to connect through the screen. For those of you who may not know me, I'm Kevin Augustine, founder and artistic director of Lone Wolf Tribe, New York-based puppet theater company I started back in 1997. So for nearly 30 decades now, I've been writing, sculpting, and performing original puppet works that try to explore what it means to be human, and often without a single word spoken. My connection to puppetry goes way back, and I'll be forever grateful to my grandmother, who was from Poland, for hand stitching me as a little kid, these puppets she made. Our mission has always been to create intelligent, physical, and highly visual puppet theater that investigates, challenges, and spellbinds. But recently, I'm less interested in the binding of spells with an audience and more with how to connect puppetry to the healing arts. For 17 years, I had my puppet studio in Brooklyn, New York. It was a small basement space, rent subsidized in this 5-story arts building. Mine was the only workshop in the basement. This little room became not just my creative home, but also my spiritual anchor, especially as New York lost its charm for me and its affordability. I built 10 shows in that room. Yep. And during the pandemic, it became my literal home. I had to sleep there because I couldn't afford where I was living anymore. I was renting out rooms through Airbnb and lost that income overnight as everyone stopped traveling. So I quietly moved into my studio, converted this little corner. It wasn't authorized, but it kept me off the street. There was no shower, so I used the garden hose in the back. It was a little absurd and stressful and humbling, but it was the only way that I could keep creating. That studio space was my creative heartbeat in New York City. And I've since been doing my puppet sculpting wherever I can in the world because in July 2022, the building management told me,
After 17 years, it is time to go.
suddenly, without notice, without any warning, gave me 2 weeks to get out. They weren't going to renew my lease for the 18th year. And this was just devastating for me. I was right in the middle of creating a new show, People versus Nature, while I was touring Body Concert. So I had to move the whole creative enterprise to my, at the time, girlfriend's apartment, which was a bit hectic because making mechanisms for chimpanzees right beside the bed, throws off the house rhythm, but the show must go on. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit now about the creation of my current touring show, Body Concert, because it was created in my Brooklyn basement studio. It's a 50-minute solo meditation on what it means to be alive. It's a show without words, inspired by Japanese Buto dance, which I studied a bit with Masaki Iwana and Maureen Fleming when I was in my 20s. On the show, I wanted to make something about connection. And then the opposite of that, what are the feelings like when we are separate? And overall, it talks about the beauty and permanence of life itself. I was determined to make something that would push me physically as a solo puppeteer to my limits. So I want to show you now an early rehearsal when I was first starting out to show how challenging it was to puppeteer using both my hands and my feet.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Over here. Shit. I had it yesterday.
So I had to work out daily. It took years to develop the strength to perform the show. Rehearsing for hours and hours, listening, trying to discover what the puppets wanted to say. Because this was really, I've come to see now, this piece about connection was really coming through my subconscious, where there was a lot of separation in my life. Luckily for this process, I wasn't completely alone. I was able to create a network of what I would call creative islands, different international residencies, and kindred theaters, and in America, artistic residencies that gave me space, time, and the belief to keep going. In Quebec, Le Sage Fou invited me to work inside their Fabrique de Théâtre Insolite from 2016 to 2019. The director, South Miller, she eventually made Body Concert a co-production. That was a great connection there. And so this meant not only a place to build and rehearse, but also I would have assistants, interns, and audiences to test the early work in progress on. I was in Norway with Ellen Fiskum Dance, gave me a rural residency. We performed more work in progress shows in this converted barn. Those residencies, those artistic opportunities were really deep moments of connection for me in my creative process. They really were the lifeblood that allowed my work to develop and take shape and eventually travel the world, because Body Concert has since been to festivals in France and Norway and Canada, Poland and Austria, and the show's won awards, various awards. But beyond that recognition was the chance to try to connect on a human universal level. That's what that show is about. And I'm looking to take that further now, because there's something I'm not satisfied anymore with, that separation between the performer and the audience. And I was exploring this in my last show, The People versus Nature, at La Mama in New York last year, and in wanting to have a co-creation, a collaboration between the performer and the audience, and having them get involved in the puppetry, helping bring the puppets to life in a way that thematically let them experience what the characters were going through as well. It was really fascinating. It was a tightrope exercise to see if it would work, but happily it did. And so I'm excited to take these concepts further with the new piece, which is called Hero Bodhisattva. And I'm so grateful to be making new friendships and theatrical collaborations in Europe, forming these new creative islands to help me develop this piece and its concepts that are going to take that connection with the audience further into hopefully what I was talking about in the healing arts, so that something can be theatrical and therapeutic. And I've already had 2 residencies in Estonia, where we first got the foam, this foam, to make the puppets. And this little guy, actually, I shipped it here to Prague when I was in Tallinn, Estonia. So it was waiting for me here.
Here being Libusin, the Czech Republic, where in exchange for this lovely room I've been staying in and doing my puppet sculpting, I've both in the summertime and now in the fall and do some chores, pick fruit, mow the lawn, pick up the nuts and the pumpkins and take care of the dogs and the turtles. It's been a lovely, equitable exchange.
And I'm also really grateful to the Puppet Academy in Bialystok because for the whole month of April, I was there working on the show with a group of students there. And it was a really great time brainstorming, investigating the characters, the concepts, improvising, just getting on our feet and exploring together, and made for a lot of discoveries. And the students, I was happy when they would tell me that it was useful for their creative process as well. So after that month-long residency in Bialystok, the lessons we learned I took with me then to Paris, where I stayed for a month at a friend's apartment and continued to develop the show.
At its core, a hero bodhisattva explores what happens when we lose connection, especially with ourselves, when we become lost and a part of ourselves becomes exiled deep within us. And using fairy tales, that motif of being far from home in the big forest, and coming to understand that sense of lostness in the forest, that forest is inside us. And Hansel, trapped in the gingerbread house, inside the forest, is inside us. And it becomes then a hero's journey to rescue a missing piece of our soul.